All right, listener call.
David, Chaz, I'm having real trust issues with you guys now. I have a similar story to Tampa Chris. My girlfriend bought Laird Superfood Creamer. One day, we ran out of regular creamer, and I decided to use Laird Superfood. And every sip of that coffee felt like a dagger to the place in my heart that I reserved for the grit community. Now I'm hearing that we're just going to be best buddies with the foil god. What have we become? We need to feel self-conscious of our selected grocery items and fear that a grit community listener is judging us behind our backs on aisle 5. So I'm not going to lie, the taste of Laird Superfood Creamer is fantastic. But now I'm reverting back to black coffee. Anyways, keep up the work.
Abandoning what he loves just to be a part of our community.
I mean, it made me think, did we go too easy on Laird? I was trying to think of all the evils that Laird has done in the surf world. And I will admit, yesterday or last show, I forgot. I forgot that Laird Hamilton is singularly responsible for stand-up paddleboarding. I forgot that Laird Hamilton is a lot responsible for foiling.
Yeah.
I have no problem with foiling, TBH. Just no foiling in the lineup. I saw some kook, where was it? I don't know, somewhere local, just like foiling away in the lineup and losing his board and it just tumbling, axing through. It's insane that people allow that.
Totally insane.
Like, I mean, that's the only one I've seen, but I have seen suppers. So again, I forgot the evils. I was sports washed by Laird Hamilton. I'm back.
I remember when he first got into foiling, he was actually sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
It was a chair that was mounted on a surfboard with the foil underneath.
Had you ever done that? That's called the air chair. It is it's a water ski thing.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, and then a listener also followed up last week by he's like, dude, I'm getting ads now for Laird's clothing brand. He's like, and this is just a knockoff. Like, it looks like a cheesy version of Outer Known. And it's, and I forgot that he had a clothing brand too. He has so many little side businesses.
I totally forgot. His clothing brand has to be failing worse than his coffee creamer business. I completely and utterly forgot that he had a clothing brand.
Me too.
It's called Laird Apparel. Is it not? Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I'm still not trying the coffee. I mean, the reality is we've given Laird more advertising. So no matter how much negativity you spew or you try to now spew, now that
it doesn't matter. It's just more.
Doesn't matter. We talked about coffee creamer more than we've talked about AG1.
The real truth about coffee creamer, though, if you're an adult male, do not use it. Teach yourself to go black, and you will never go back.
I could hold this up, but it'll spill if I try to show it to the camera. Black, that's all I need.
I mean, it takes a minute. I'll tell you. I probably shared it on the show. What got me off? What is your leaving creamer behind origin story?
Never was into creamer in the first place.
So I was a creamer guy.
Okay.
One day ran out of creamer and thought, I am sick and tired of always having to go to the store for a little coffee thing. Like, it's not the essential. It's not the coffee. It's this added thing I put in. Screw it. And it took me probably 2 or 3 days to change the taste buds to now creamer and coffee tastes like, it's not good.
If I drink a coffee that even has milk in it, the milk tastes sweet to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's very little sugar in milk, I would imagine.
Sure.
That's problematic for me because I just prefer the
bitter.
But I didn't discover coffee until I was 26. So I think if I got into it younger, I probably would have liked yummy flavors more.
That was my problem.
Yeah.
But you, listener, as an adult male, take a hard look in the mirror at the fact that you need basically what a baby eats in your man drink.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of baby juice in there.
Laird's a big baby.
A giant baby.
Adult baby.
That's what Laird Hamilton is.
Strong baby.
I mean, a lot of babies are.
That's Jonah Hill's production company name.
Strong baby?
Yeah. Did you know that? Dude, I pulled up.
I just saw it yesterday, in fact. Yeah.
I pulled up.
Stutz?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
No. So this morning, literally it was this morning, which isn't enough time to include it in the show notes if I wanted to do like proper research or whatever. I was giving Austin his bottle. He loves to watch Trash Truck, which is a great show.
Trash Truck.
Kids show on Netflix. But it was on my account rather than his account. So it's showing all the normal stuff. And it was that Stutz, Jonah Hill's picture there.
Yeah.
So then I clicked to see what it is. And the synopsis said,
Him and his therapist.
Jonah Hill produced and directed, I think even,
Yeah.
an hour and a half conversation with his own therapist, digging into what makes Jonah Jonah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then published it as a film?
Ostensibly, if I'm not mistaken, it was supposed to be, or how it was probably pivoted to not look purely narcissistic, was Jonah Hill interviewing his therapist, because I think his therapist is famous, of course, interviewing his therapist about him, and then publishing it to destigmatize mental health stuff, right? Ostensibly. But, and again, I have been waiting to write about it, but I do need to watch it, I feel, first. But it does feel to me like a person videoing and then publishing their own therapy session about them and unpacking it seems like Jonah Hill has reached with this one
Crazy.
absolute peak narcissism.
Beyond what I could have imagined.
Yeah.
And then to the news story that we didn't even talk about ever on air was him not doing any press for his movies anymore because
of mental health.
It's too much, gives him too much anxiety.
Yeah.
So it's like in certain ways you're retracting and not participating, but then in this other way, you're going completely above
Specifically
in a way that's probably equally problematic for you.
The story of him not doing press anymore was directly related to this movie.
Okay,
So he was not going to do press anymore on Stutz because he felt anxiety and learned about that anxiety through this. But then why in the world are you honestly, again, I haven't watched it, so it may be about his therapist, right?
Well, I hope that it's what you said. It started out about his therapist, but he's so narcissistic that the end product ended up being about him. It started with good intentions and ended up just being a reflection of what his heart really is.
Of Jonah Hill, thinking about Jonah Hill and perpetually being Jonah Hill and being caught in the wheelhouse of Jonah Hill.
Exactly.
Imagine if you were that self-aware perpetually. Like if the only person you thought about was yourself, the only way you could engage with the world was through your own self lens. Like, I feel anxiety, so I have to pull myself out of this. Instead of like, drink up concrete, Jonah Hill, toughen up. Who cares if you're anxious? Go out and do your damn job.
Glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
This brings us to a listener email.
Great.
The subject header said, Chaz saying don't take baths. Quote, be a man, don't take a bath. Seriously? Chaz says, don't pamper yourself, but then regularly goes on about expensive Italian loafers, fancy hotels, $1,000 plus bed sheets. Yet I'm a dandy for soaking my old bones after a hard day of labor? You got to be kidding me. Get your baths, ye weary workers, or take your baths, ye weary workers, and afterward we can sleep well in our Walmart sheets, knowing that we don't let a fashion-clad, loafer-shoed fancy man shame our self-care. Love ya. Fancy nonsense at all. Keep up the work. Signed, Blue Collar Bather. DLS, don't say my name if you do read this on air.
Blue Collar Bather is a great handle. And Blue Collar Bather,
he's got a point.
If you and I's... If we're out somewhere in the Old West, like I like the idea of a cowboy bath, right? Like remember cowboys would hop into a tub?
That was the only way to do it.
Great.
Yeah, the shower wasn't an option.
I'm all down with that. Like, let's go take cowboy baths after herding, after running range. But yeah, I'm still anti-bath. I am still anti-bath.
Yeah, but calling him or shaming the self-care element and then you doing self-pampering in all those ways that he's talking about.
A fancy hotel, a good pair of loafers, nice sheets. None of those are self-care. That is
essentials.
Living tough. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever pay fancy? You're at a fancy hotel. Do you ever get the massage at the hotel itself?
Never. I don't get massages full stop.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a
massage. Falls under pampering.
Exactly. Like we can go through what pampering is. Pampering is manicure, pedicure. Pampering is getting a massage. Pampering is taking a bath. Pampering is getting a facial. Pampering is buying lotion for yourself, unless you absolutely have a skin condition that requires that lotion. Pampering is, we go on.
I get it. Do you like the feel of a massage, though?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that's not pampering.
Well, I mean, theoretically, I would if I could get out of my own way, I think, of thinking I'm being a real sissy boy right now.
Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper.
Yes.
Jonah Hill session right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Do you like the feel of touch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not from where's the dividing line then between that and a massage?
I think I would like the massage, and I have liked a massage before. I have very much enjoyed massages in the past. So it's not about me not enjoying them. It's about me mentally thinking, you're being a baby right now. You're being a big old baby.
Man.
Get off this table, get out there and like do some road work.
I wish I was more qualified to play Stutz's role
Yeah.
in this engagement because that is truly problematic.
But
Like I can't enjoy the things that actually are innately enjoyable to me because of my ideology.
exactly. But what are we without our ideology? We are big Jonah Hills.
Yeah.
We are just
No pun intended. by
Yeah.
the way.
We are dying on
Regular.
Jonah's Hill.
That's a good one. Another listener feedback, such great heights. I used to jump from high rocks at the river in Northern California where I grew up. I did some 30 and 40 foot jumps into Eel River at this place called aptly High Rock, but was scared every single time. I saw many people do many crazy things from higher heights, including in various states of inebriation and stoniness. My rule was always, could I fall off the takeoff location and still safely land in deep water? If not, I really shouldn't jump.
Good point.
Clearing that thing is the problem, right?
Clearing that thing is so scary. I stayed at a odd house, I suppose it is. It's outside of Las Vegas. It is a pirate-themed estate that you can rent out.
It's just
You can
Treasure
Google it.
Island, right? Is that
No, because basically, it's Treasure Island. That's
Okay.
a personal, private treasure island. And so there's like a bunch of different like bungalows or whatever. There's like a main house and then but it's all like kind of built around this giant pool that has the pool's like on multi-levels with water slides and blah, 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 blah. Anyhow, there is a, half-wrecked pirate ship there with I think the mast is 100 feet.
Jesus?
And you can climb
Bird's nest.
various portions on the mast to jump. The pool looks tiny when
Yeah.
you're up there, right? And so
crazy, dude.
yeah, like the thought of I'm gonna get my angle just slightly wrong from there. Like, yeah, I was staying there with Travis Pastrana, so watching him and his boys, the Nitro Circus guys, bail off the top one. I think even his daughter did it at some
No
point.
way.
Yeah, I
How
was
deep
like,
was the pool?
I mean, it was plenty. It was like probably 20 or 30 feet. I mean,
Like
it was
they designed
it
it
was
that
built
way.
for that.
Yeah.
But still, like this was a man-made thing built for this. There's no way you were going to, but there looked like plenty of ways
Right.
that you would overshoot. You would
Right.
get like adrenaline and kick off a little too much. And then, oh yeah,
So scary.
gives me the shivers thinking about it.
Well, he goes on to say, when I was 20, we were way deep in the NorCal backpacking trip in the Trinity Alps amongst remote lakes. And one of my very good high school buddies jumped from a rock with a big lake as a target. He didn't make it to the water. 60-foot jump, landed on the rocks on his pelvis in sitting position. Pelvic fractures, internal bleeding, leg fractures, T11 spine burst fracture with cord injury, permanent lower extremity paralysis and bowel bladder incontinence and chronic pain, helicoptered out, almost died, multiple surgeries, never the same. What a devastating thing for him. Typing this out, I still have PTSD a bit. And I guess listening to your guys' podcast discussion spurred my emotions. That was back in 1991. He passed about 10 years ago from long-term buildup to a sudden acute complication. His early death in his 40s directly resulted from that jump 20 years earlier. Rest in peace, Tim. No shame in walking away from a jump. None. Thanks for listening to the rant. Just wanted to put in my 2 cents. I feel so old writing this. Shucks.
I mean, that's the problem with it, right? It's a fine line between, I think, because the day you walk away from a jump is a sign of, you could say, maturity, but it's also you're caring about consequence. It's
all of that.
It's all of these things which the bold man, the people we look up to, don't do that. Nobody's looking up to Jonah Hill.
Nope.
I'll tell you that.
The bold man has a short life. That's the thing. I just don't have the thrill. I mean, you're entirely right. there's no point. I just don't feel the thrill from that thing that I used to feel.
For sure.
But you're right. It's because of all those other things.
I do think though, like when presented with a clear, like I think he opened up beautifully, right? With a a jump into a, if I fall, I'll make it into this water, right?
Yeah.
Like I think overcoming regularly in our lives, I think pushing through that kind of stuff is important for your, even if you don't
I
like
agree.
it.
Yeah. I agree with that for sure. Well, Thanksgiving is upon us next week.
Can't believe it's already here.
Which means something else important is upon us. It's been about 4 years since we paid respect to the surf world's hardest working, most creative, prolific, influential writers who toil anonymously under the brand name that signs their paychecks. Do you know which unsung creative geniuses I'm speaking about?
I know. Wetsuit.
Nomenclature copywriters. I mean, these are the most creative. You see a wetsuit ad on your Instagram from a big brand, the words that they not only come up with, they then patent them. Because if you go look at it, they're all patented. Yeah.
Psycho Bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Patented.
Exactly. And I think that we can all agree on who the winner has been probably for a decade now.
Long time
Winner. Kind of the most, it's become a part of our just regular, in the way that Kleenex now dominates the world of tissue, or Xerox dominates the world of making copies. What dominates smooth, warm, elastic wetsuits?
It is, what's the specific kind of rubber called?
No, it's Techno Butter.
Techno Butter.
Techno
That's
Butter.
what it is. Techno Butter.
It was created by O'Neill, of course. They're the ones who have Techno Butter.
First in the water.
But it's just like, if you just think of a wetsuit being slick and awesome, you think, oh man, this is Techno Buttery.
Yeah.
It's taken over.
I mean, it really has.
Yeah.
I hear it out on the streets sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I just see the butter in the refrigerator and I think,
That's Techno Butter.
I do. I'm like, I see butter, Techno Butter pops in my mind,
Yes.
just because it's such a good term. They really nailed it.
Great.
I don't even know what it means, to be honest.
No, I mean, I can feel what it means.
It's-
When you know you have a
that's
good
right.
word, you
Yeah.
can feel what it means.
Well, the reality is it's, of course, butter means like pliable, right? And we know the wetsuit's going to be warm. Techno has nothing to do with it, but it makes you want to dance.
I mean,
Now I'm happy
great.
warm.
Loving it.
Yeah.
Warm, slippery, and happy
and happy, want to dance.
in my wetsuit.
So O'Neill owns they are the ones who have dominated a space that has some pretty amazing creative nomenclature
Yep.
for each of the different brands. So I'm going to lead off this year's battle of wetsuit nomenclature with O'Neill and their, I forget which wetsuit this is. I think this is on their Fusion wetsuit and the Hyperfreak wetsuit. They use these terminologies. And then I'm going to read a few different brands and you got to rank them. Who's
Okay.
doing the best?
Okay.
Who's doing the best work out here in this space? O'Neill has the Fuse closure. Fuse is an acronym for front upper zip entry.
Okay.
So Fuse closure, Techno Butter 3X now.
Oh, wow. Is it
And-
like 3
and-
times as large, or there's 3 times more Techno Butter in there?
3 times more buttery, maybe 3 times more techno.
I like it.
Don't know.
You don't know.
So Techno Butter's on the 3X version. That's in the arms and the shoulders. The body of the suit just has regular Techno Butter.
No 3X Techno Butter, but it still has Techno Butter.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So Fuse, Techno Butter 3X, Aqua Alpha solvent-free neoprene lamination.
Boom.
Aqua Alpha solvent-free neoprene lamination.
What is Aqua Alva?
Alpha?
Alpha. Okay, so it's
Aqua
number 1
Alpha.
alpha male, like, or alpha person.
In the
alpha
realm
female.
of Aqua,
Yeah,
it's
it is
the
the-
Alpha, and it's solvent-free neoprene lamination. Who knew they were even laminated?
I didn't know they laminated wetsuits.
Me neither. Plasma wrist and ankle seals, crypto knee pads, and all of the S's are with Z's.
I don't know how you can beat this, to be honest. I mean, I'm gonna declare O'Neill the winner right now. Like, I didn't think they were gonna be. I thought Techno Butter was the peak,
I know.
but there's a lot in there.
I know.
All the S's are with Z's.
All the S's are with Z's.
I mean, let me hear the rest, but
Yeah, we'll go through it just to be polite.
yeah,
But I mean, I would go a step further. Not only do they win this category, I think O'Neill's solvency as a brand is directly related to them dominating wetsuit nomenclature, because do you see O'Neill clothes out and about?
No,
like, are
here's-
they, I mean, they got Jordy Smith, but like, they're not really.
Here's the problem. I do believe. I don't know if this problem has been solved or changed or fixed, but O'Neill sold their licensing to La Jolla Group back in the day. I don't know. I don't think La Jolla Group exists anymore, but I think the license for O'Neill clothing is different from O'Neill wetsuits.
Yeah, I think
basically.
you're right.
But they should bring it back, buy that thing back, and just put Techno Butter on a t-shirt or Techno Butter 3X or whatever, right? Just start putting wetsuit words. I would fully buy one.
Whoever is responsible for this, again, is a creative genius.
Yep.
Which shockingly, under a complete anonymity.
Yeah.
Like not a pseudonym, it's just anonymous.
Doesn't sign their name
No, just
to
for
the
a
poetry.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Just for a paycheck.
I mean, imagine sitting in the room and coming up with this.
You gotta.
It's got to be the same person who's, I mean, because it's not, it doesn't look like somebody's looking at the O'Neill brand Bible and then coming up with these new words. This has to be the same person who's worked
genius.
on O'Neill branding for 20 years.
Probably living in an apartment.
Yep.
You know, like barely making ends meet, but quietly the most prolific and influential person in the surf world.
If anyone knows who this is,
I know.
if they could please reach out on behalf of the Grit Podcast, I'd love to have an on-air conversation about like his process as a fellow rider. Yeah. How do you get to this place?
And then have them write for Beach Grit.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, moving on to Quicksilver, who's also in the news this week for other reasons.
Sure are.
But they've just
Happy Thanksgiving.
they just introduced something called Eco Velvet.
Oh, surprisingly good.
It is good.
I had low expectations for Quicksilver.
Eco Velvet.
Okay.
And that dark red that they use, kind of like that maroon.
Is
on
Eco
that
Velvet?
I think it just
It makes sense. It's
It
what I
does
picture.
because like velvet cake,
Yeah.
red velvet cake.
Yep.
Like there's a connection there when I saw-
Velvet feels red, even though
It does.
is not necessarily red.
And then Kanoa's got a lot of red in his, and so he's the spokesperson.
Canoe is also velvety.
Boom, Eco Velvet.
Yeah.
Really good. So they have the Warm Flight Eco Velvet thermalining,
Got it.
triple glued and blind stitched seams, aqua glue water-based lamination.
When did aqua become such a big wetsuit word? Is this
this year?
wetsuit copywriters becoming more global in their thinking?
Maybe.
Like, water. What else can water be called?
Aqua.
Aqua Spanish.
This
Let's
might,
do it.
or this might have to do with Jason Momoa's
Could
Aquaman.
be. Could be.
You know, they're playing off that. So
Yep.
maybe this is 2 years old. I don't know. We haven't done this in 4 years.
Hard to say.
Yeah. So aqua glue water-based lamination. They're also all using the word lamination, which they never used to do.
Which part gets laminated? Are they laminating the arm? Because a lamination is correct me if I'm wrong, a layer over something, right?
Or multiple layers. Yeah.
Stacked
glued,
on top.
Glued or bound in some
Yes.
way. Yeah.
And so are wetsuits actually multiple layers?
I think that they're referring to the seams.
Really?
So remember, seams used to be stitched when we were kids.
Sure.
Then they added glue to the stitching.
Yes.
Then they started adding a flap of neoprene over that they glue on.
So that's the lamination.
I think that's the lamination.
And also, I will say, every wetsuit I've had over the last couple of years now has a liner.
Yeah.
Like where it used to just be you put your wetsuit on and then neoprene on the outside was just the reverse of that. Now they have a liner, right? Almost all wetsuits do.
Yeah.
So that would be, I guess, a laminate?
No.
Why not? It's two things getting stuck together with glue.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
laminated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's what they're referring to.
Great.
So aqua glued water-based lamination and highlight eco neoprene.
Okay. I love velvet. The rest, I'm flat.
I agree. And triple glued and blind stitched seams, they left that on the table completely. Didn't even try.
They did. No, that's what they're actually doing.
Yeah, exactly. So Warm Flight Eco Velvet thermal lining, they came out strong with that and then just kind of phoned it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely not competing with O'Neill.
Nope. I mean, their poet probably got fired, to be honest.
That's, literally
Yeah.
this past week.
Yeah.
Apologies to all of those who lost their jobs.
Yep.
We'll get to you in a minute. Excel entering the chat.
I like this. I want something specific here. Let's see if XL delivers.
Okay. They have the Dry Lock series with Celliant Black in the core, Ultra Stretch infrared to maximize performance, Channel Flex exterior, Dry Lock wrist seals, and Fusion X seam top.
Don't like it. That's not what I was looking for, David Lee Scales.
It's all very like X-Men, you know, like lots of X's, and I feel like it's very technical, but they don't actually explain what any of it is.
I don't like it.
Okay.
XL is, if I'm understanding correctly, it's a Hawaiian wetsuit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Hawaii, or at least its origins are in Hawaii. You have, as the one Hawaiian wetsuit maker, or the biggest Hawaiian wetsuit maker, have a giant cornucopia of words you can use from the islands, right? Like, I'd love to see like the Howley Pounder wetsuit or whatever, right? I mean, there's stuff there that you can do that other people can't, that is all yours. Go pluck from the rich Hawaiian vocabulary.
A rich Hawaiian vocabulary, but with fewer letters.
Yes.
They only have 13 letters, but the X and the C aren't in the Hawaiian alphabet.
no.
Like they shouldn't even, they need to rethink everything.
Rethink your brand, XL.
Totally.
Yep.
So Drylock series Celliant Black in the core. I don't even know what Celliant Black is. Of course, that's kind of the point of this, is we don't know what any of it is. Channel Flex exterior.
I know what Techno Butter is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel anything here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Salient black in the core.
No.
Actually
don't care.
sounds like it could be cancer causing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
does.
it really sounds sketchy.
It sounds
I
like
don't know that it will.
mesothelioma.
Exactly.
Those are the ads I get, and I think of that.
I always think, not always think, but I have thought this since I was young. El Pollo Loco, the crazy chicken.
Yeah.
I don't want a crazy chicken.
No.
What, has he got a tumor?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He might.
Like,
There's
I
a
don't want
buggy
to
eye.
eat your chicken
Yeah.
that has gone mad.
Yeah. How much, it's an interesting point that you bring up, because I like the times I've had El Pollo Loco. It's totally fine, right? There's nothing wrong with Pollo Loco. I'll eat Taco Bell 10 times out of 10 over Pollo Loco. So maybe it just purely comes down to the name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unattracted to the name.
It's exactly why O'Neill's still solvent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Billabong has graphene.
I really like graphene.
It's pretty strong.
Graphene almost feels like a real word.
I think it's become a word.
See-
Like Billabong didn't make graphene. As I dug deeper, graphene
A
is
thing.
a Nobel Prize winning warmth and performance technology.
Beautiful. Love it. Love them using it though directly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
And branding it as their own almost.
Yep.
You know, like you and I
Ubiquitous
wouldn't
now
even
in
know.
the surf world.
Exactly. So graphene is it's infused with 100% recycled fibers lining the entire interior of the suit. It also has Airlight 4D tech recycler. Our Airlight 4D stretch jersey is now made of 100% recycled fibers, providing the next dimension of stretch and sustainability. Superflex Neo taped internal seams,
I'm liking it.
which equals no leaks. Aqua Alpha water-based non-toxic glue.
So
That must be a thing too.
Aqua Alpha must be its own
Yeah, it
brand.
must be.
Yeah.
Smart foam.
I like smart foam.
So smart foam is
Where does the smart foam go?
the interior, which is limestone-based material, including a mix of 30% recycled car tires, recycled rubber, and recycled oyster shells.
I'm into it.
But do you want oyster shells on the interior?
I love oysters so much that yes.
The
it's
shell, though, is scratchy.
It's okay. It's going to make me think about a nice mignonette out there, a good little horseradish and cocktail sauce. Oh, they should make a horseradish cocktail sauce flavored, or at least that you smell it under the hood.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like
Get a
it.
little whiff.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the best contender with the number one spot that O'Neill owns.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to recap the keywords: graphene recycler,
Yep.
airtight 4D recycler, Superflex Neo taped internal seams, Aqua Alpha water-based, and smart foam.
The only thing I wish is that they were still sponsoring Sterling Spencer, and it could be 12D. That their lock would take you into the 12th dimension.
Ooh, that is a great point.
Yeah.
That's up for consideration. He is sponsored by Album Surfboards, which we are now sitting in. I should have mentioned that at the top of the show.
It's a great fit. And does Sterling have
No.
it's only a matter of time before Matt Parker makes a wetsuit. You know that's
great
coming.
point. That's
Where
a
he could go the 12D.
I bet the reason why he hasn't yet is they haven't come up with any terminology that can oust
It's true.
O'Neill.
And the fired Quicksilver copywriter
Yeah.
He's
Not a good fit.
No.
Not a good fit. So those terms versus O'Neill's, of course, Fuse, Closure, Technobutter 3X, Aqua Alpha Solvent Free Neoprene Lamination, Plasma Risk, Crypto Knee Pads, Z.
I'm going to give, of course, I mean, O'Neill, it's with, I'm going to give Billabong a surprise second.
Yeah. They earn the second spot.
Yeah.
Graphene's strong,
Graphene.
but nothing compared to Technobutter.
It's not even in the same room.
Graphene I have confidence in. It feels very solid.
Yeah.
I can depend on it.
Yep.
Technobutter I want to make love to.
Yeah. It's really, really true.
Boom. Technobutter for the win.
I mean, Technobutter is on, I would challenge a wetsuit maker to try. I mean, they should have a big internal meeting and say, guys, Technobutter has dominated us. We need to come up with something better. Start thinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody can beat it.
No.
They have had those meetings. Nobody can beat it.
It's unbeatable.
Unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations to O'Neill.
Congrats, O'Neill. And they're not a sponsor. None of these brands are sponsors.
Nope.
We just want to acknowledge the hardworking creative geniuses who for so many years before this podcast toiled away in obscurity.
And they're still toiling away under obscurity. At least now, though, their beautiful words have a platform.
Exactly. I did look at Rip Curl, Hurley, Neat Essentials, Patagonia, others. They don't even attempt. They just give you the pragmatic explanation of what's what. Oh, Rip Curl had like E this and E that, but they just put an E at the beginning. So it's like an iPhone.
Boring. Yeah.
But great wetsuits.
Great wetsuits.
Yeah. And technically you can understand what they're saying on their website.
I don't want to.
Exactly. Without feeling good about it.
Yeah. I need to feel what they're saying on the website.
I know. Well, then that leads us, as we alluded to, a holiday bloodletting.
Thank you, Quicksilver and Billabong, I suppose, and all of Board Riders. What else? Yeah, they have Ruka, so they're in there. Bummer for the employee.
Yeah, so we'll start with apologies to those who were let go, because there probably are some listeners of this show that were let go, and what a horrific time. The quick headline from Beach Grid is that Derek, I believe, wrote is Thanksgiving comes early for Quicksilver, Ruka, and Billabong workers as CEO of the parent company announces mass sackings in lead up to takeover. Losing talented employees is always difficult. Mm-hmm. That's what they had to say about that. Do you know anything about what's behind this or why?
Well, so Board Riders, as people know, is on the block, the whole company, and rumors were hot and heavy early that it was Authentic Brands Group that was going to buy. Authentic Brands Group owns the likeness to Elvis Presley.
Oh, okay.
Owns the likeness to Marilyn Monroe, also owns Volcom, owns a whole ton of brands, right? It's one of these, but very successful, like, New York, Jamie Salter, CEO, multi-millionaire, it's all whatever, but that's what they do, right? They collect brands and then license what, you know how that goes, I think.
Yep.
And so, they were, I think, early rumors that they were the only buyer or the buyer, but then I've heard recent rumors that maybe there's other potential buyers and or maybe the brands are going to get split and sold independently. So Authentic Brands was the most substantial that I had heard, but whatever the case, this holiday bloodletting is clearly preparing for either a sale to someone or a sale of individual brands. This is not a okay, we need to tighten the belt so we can run this thing correct, right? I mean,
it's more the end of the year is coming. Let's cut expenses.
Let's cut expenses
the balance sheet
and then sell. But the whole thing was built to sell, right? I mean, it
was bought to build to sell.
Exactly. The
That's
private equity.
The reason why Board Riders did it.
Yep. The private equity group that bought it wasn't buying to build it into like a viable business. Right. That's not what they do. They build, cut costs, streamline stuff, build profit back up to whatever it needs to be, and then flip it.
Yep. Sad times. So the question is, last week with this story about Griffin Colapinto switching to Quicksilver, there's talk about Quicksilver revamping the marketing department and reinvesting in it and kind of focusing on the original mission statement of the core. And that was part of the Griffin get. Yeah. Are those people still on?
Who knows?
They invested in it 1 month and then the next month scrapped it.
I mean, no, I think that I'm sure that the core group of each of those brands is continuing to devise strategy. Like they still need to be a viable business for whoever buys them. And nobody's going to look at them and say, okay, you've gutted everything. We just see logos and that's what we want. I think the whole point is to buy the brand, that the brand is working. And so I think, whatever Quicksilver's aim was, I'm sure there's a lot less people in that room, but I'm sure they're continuing to drive forward on whatever they set out to do.
Gotcha.
If you could purchase one of those brands, let's say they were all selling individually. Now, let's say Ruka was going for $50,000. Quicksilver and Billabong were each going for $125,000. Would you go get a loan?
Well, no, because I'm not in the business of running a clothing brand.
They came to you and said, "Hey, David Lee, we're going to give you
I get what you're saying. So if I had to buy one,
yes,
Billabong.
Yeah.
In terms of what was the most woven into and a part of my surf world and experience and all that, I feel like Billabong is the one.
Yeah.
Ruka obviously came super late to the game, and
Yep.
I think they've done really cool stuff. Quicksilver, I had a lot of fondness for because of Kelly Slater. But I just feel like Billabong was, I don't know, surfing.
Yeah. I was a quick man up until a few years ago. Now I'm a bong man.
Are you?
Yeah.
What made you change?
The wetsuit's really good. I have a Billabong wetsuit that is proper.
Dude, I've had a number of Quicksilver wetsuits over the years.
Yeah.
Not proper.
They're not very good.
Not good. That freaking Eco Velvet, maybe that changed the game for them.
I honestly think that's what it is. Why I have a fondness for Billabong is that I did, like you, have Quicksilver wetsuits that would last so short and were also not very good. They were not even out of the box.
Same.
Good. My Billabong wetsuit, I'm on second season. It feels like it's only starting to get good.
Oh, really?
It's like
it's that graphene.
It is.
Gets better with
that's
age.
what I'm saying. The graphene is warming my heart. And I like Billabong's team, and I like generally what Billabong's been doing. I think they're going a good direction.
I would agree. I always loved Billabong's team.
Yeah.
That's such a big thing, or it used to be such a big thing. But I also liked Quick's team, like Kelly, Dane, Clay Marzo. There were so many great surfers on
The
that.
young guns,
Julian.
Quicksilver years were
Tom Carroll.
Yeah. Good team.
Great team.
Yeah.
But it still didn't feel the same way I felt about the Billabong team.
I mean, Billabong team always felt real. Quicksilver's team felt like best in class, but
Too clean cut.
Yeah, you don't want to go if there was, which I did when I was during my North Shore covering years, even though I was persona non grata, more or less, that's where I would hang, is the Billabong house more than any other. Billabong house was a fun place where funny things happen. Get to see Aki, get wasted and sing karaoke.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening in the Quick house.
That's the exact difference. Who do you think of mainly when you think of Billabong as a team?
Andy Irons, of course. It's hard to
It's
shake.
interesting,
Yeah.
right?
But I'll also, I think they've done a good job. Billabong has branding their guys as Billabong. Because I do think when I think of Billabong, I immediately think, Andy, of course, but then I do think Taj, Parko. I think of my favorite surfer in the world, who I can never remember
Ryan
his name.
Callanan.
Yeah, Ryan Callanan.
Ethan Ewing, Griffin Colapinto, even though
He's gone.
he switched.
But that's with Quicksilver. Look, who do you think of as a Quicksilver rider?
Kelly.
I think of Kelly, who doesn't ride for Quicksilver. I think of Julian, who doesn't ride for Quicksilver. I think of Dane, who doesn't ride for Quicksilver.
Clay Marzo.
And then when I stop and pause, then I think, Kanoa and Italian.
Leo's off.
Oh, Leo's off?
Yeah.
Where'd Leo go?
Bare board, no sticker.
Since when? Did Derek write that story?
No, I don't think Derek did write this story. Since Sakurama, just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, sweet. Well,
Yeah.
breaking news on Beach Grit.
Yeah.
4 weeks ago.
So as I think about it, and I guess this is probably obvious, we've probably touched on it over the years, but it's personality.
Yeah.
It's like Andy's personality was so distinct and just him, that is what you remember.
Yes.
Whereas Kanoa's bland, Leo Fioravanti's bland, they don't have real.
Who else? Jeremy Flores is my favorite Quicksilver surfer, probably.
Yeah.
He's got some spunk.
But
he feels
even
like
he was tamped down by the sticker.
yeah, he should have been a Billabong. If he would have been a Billabong man,
Totally.
those fights on the beach would have been way better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So, okay, that's interesting. Well, hopefully those employees are able to find gainful employment elsewhere.
It's
Going into recession, so.
but I still think isn't it a job seekers market still?
Is it?
I think so. Aren't people like quiet quitting all the time? And I mean, couldn't you just like go bump somebody out of their office chair and get to work?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea how these things work.
I don't either.
Grateful to have a podcast. Let's put it that way. To where, by the way, support us for $5 a month. It's a great time to mention it. Keep us independent.
Thank you.
Keep us independent.
And win surfboards.
We're giving away a Fireball fish. Can't beat that.
Cannot.
Cannot beat that. It's going to be custom made for the winter too on December 1st.
Did you talk to Dennis Jarvis about it already yet?
No, dude.
He shined you?
No, I mean, we've been in communication, but
Okay.
if you've never met him, he's a wily character. He's hard to pin down.
Is he a fireball?
He is a fireball.
Yeah.
He is a fireball. But he's opening an art gallery in Manhattan Beach. So that is
Busy.
He's very busy in addition to everything else that keeps him busy. But I'm like, dude, that's why we need to get this podcast out the door, is so that we can promote your art gallery that is going to be opened.
Do you think that Dennis Jarvis runs into Eric Double Deuces Logan very often?
Yeah, sure.
Do you think Double Deuces knows who Dennis Jarvis is?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, he knows, maybe he knows what Spider Surfboards is. He's seen that logo around.
Yeah.
You know?
But when Dennis Jarvis sees Double Deuces, does he say Eric, or does he just let him be?
Dennis is very inclusive.
So he would just go,
he loves everybody. And he would love to incorporate Eric into anything he does.
even Double D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Double D. Let's have a conversation. Not to make this too meta.
Yeah.
Often we do something and then that becomes a story, and then we refer back to the story and we get 5 more stories out of it.
It's the Beach Grit way.
And then people call in and that becomes another thing, and then there's 10 more call-ins, and it's just, we can live in our own ecosystem.
It's great.
I did an interview with CJ Nelson, posted an Instagram or a couple of Instagrams about him, things that he was talking about on the podcast. One of them was about localism, not localism specifically, but the rites of passage that we used to go through versus what people go through now. I'm going to play that clip for you now. The comment section's been on fire, and so I want to kind of
address it
here. Hold, please.
You know what I mean? It's a fuck. There's no nobility in it. There's no Big Wednesday in it. You know what I mean? It's a fucking Barbie doll, pop culture, dumbest, most ridiculous crap you can dream up. When you started surfing back then, you were told, you knew about the investment it was going to be. And it was fucking a lifelong, drag out, sock 'em up journey. And there was no two ways about it. You were nothing. In order to be something, you were going to have to pay with everything you have. And so we were all comfortable standing in that line. That's what we signed up for. Like, to be the old man out at Sewer Peak with the hood that gets nothing but set waves and only on the best swells. To be him is what I aspired to be when I was 12. That was my investment. I'm going to be that, which to me is like Disneyland, right? So we've all been standing in line for 30 years to get into Disneyland, and 2 million people just got to cut in front of us.
Just bought a ticket.
And now we have to have lunch with them.
What are people saying in the comments? What is the general tone, if you had to sum it up? Is it 50-50?
It is 50-50, but the kind of dichotomy is old man shouting about the olden days.
Yep.
Like, this is not new. I'm sure you could kind of point at COVID and certain things that are more amplified than they were before, like bringing in vows. But you're just an old man complaining that things aren't the way that they were. And then you have tons of people, notable people in the surf biz, saying absolutely profoundly stated, thank you for saying it. Nick Carroll chimed in and said, I don't believe that, CJ. There is no line cutting. I don't feel dispossessed of 50 years of surfing just because a lot of people have decided to try it. People are making fun of him because he's wearing a soft top t-shirt. He has a soft top brand called Crime.
Yeah.
And he's wearing Crime on his t-shirt. So they're like, the surfboard broker said, I agree, but it's a pretty funny statement coming from a guy wearing a soft top t-shirt, which is arguably driving hordes of newbies, even though I'm sure CJ would argue the crime boards are not for beginners.
Yeah.
You know, as Surf Ad stated in one of his articles on your website about surfboard pricing, he was saying you got a crime board that it's like a twin keel that
Fun.
Yeah, really good. So anyways, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, I just think I think he's totally right. And also, what are you going to do about it, right? Like, yes, the olden days of which he speaks don't exist anymore, right? As much. I mean, I think it probably depends on where you're surfing a bit. I mean, he longboards, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So like, do you know where he longboards?
Oceanside.
Yeah. So I'm sure a place like Oceanside, longboarding, it's accessible. Everything is visible basically from the road. Like there's no little secret corner that, you know, that's shallow or ledgy or difficult or whatever. It's all, you know, open access. Right. And so it is what it is.
Do you feel the way that he feels?
No, because I never aspired to be the crusty local with the hood out the back who only got the set waves. Like that wasn't my goal to be that guy. Right. Like in the lineup, I didn't have anybody that I wanted to be. Did you? I mean, besides of course, there was the guy who ripped and I wanted to rip, but I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to rip like that guy. Like,
I agree.
And so my lineup experience, I think I've coming down from Oregon. It's not like I just had a different experience. I wasn't at a break that had this hierarchy that I, you know, could get in line for and eventually reach. That wasn't a possibility. So I surfed entirely alone in Oregon and then came down here and fiddled in, you know, various lineup scenarios. But the problem, I went on a surf trip this week, David Lee Scales.
Like to South San Diego?
I packed up the car and I went to Del Mar.
Exactly.
But it was the first time surfing locally outside of my 3 you know, blocked window that I normally surf. So I'm in a new lineup, you know, relatively speaking, for the first time in a long time. The amount of, and it was super fun. I had a great time. Got some good waves. The amount of weird kook. There was a guy on a blue pointy board. Again, I need to start getting kooks' names so I could directly say them. And he was out the back. He would paddle out the back the entire time, or every time after a wave, catch whatever wave, paddle out, catch a wave. You know, it was all fine and good. Like I wasn't like whatever, but he snaked this one guy a couple times, and he sucked at surfing. He sucked, and he snaked this guy, and this guy, you know, given the classic bark out, paddle up, paddle back, like, hey man, stop snaking me. And the other guy, what are you gonna do about it? Like, shut your mouth. You know, like I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds to shut your mouth and whatever. Like, it's so unsatisfying because a good surf bark never reaches any kind of, or rarely reaches, not just a punch up, but any kind of satisfaction, right? Like it's just both people go back to their place. Long way of saying this friggin' kook guy clearly felt that he was the one who got to dominate that lineup, but he sucked at surfing, like, which is a problem. I think even lineup dominators now kind of suck. A lot of them do. Like, quality surfing has gone down overall, I would say.
Yeah. Well, there's so many more people who think that they should be the dominator in the lineup because he's surfed there for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Totally.
I think that qualifies him because, by the way, there are a bunch of people who haven't been there for 3 years.
Yeah.
But 3 years is nothing.
Yeah.
I think CJ, I agree with you. Like, I didn't want to be that guy. So CJ is coming at it from a very unique space that I think a lot of people can point at him and like call him a hypocrite or whatever, you know, but the essence of what he's saying is really true.
Sure.
And you should, I think that there is right and wrong. And like, you should actually venerate what he's talking about.
Completely.
Like, there's so much inherent virtue in that structure of things. You develop so much more character. You develop, it makes you, like, getting reprimanded when you're doing something wrong makes you a better person. Getting told that you're doing it wrong probably makes you a better surfer. You know, like all of those things that existed back then were for you to actually better yourself.
Well, and better your surfing too. Like that's
Yes,
the problem
yes.
is people think like nobody, I mean, again, long-winded, but that's what I see out in lineups now is people properly sucking who shouldn't suck, who are old enough to figure out their body a bit and figure out how to draw like an appropriate line for the way they're trying to surf. Like this stinking, like he was probably 50,
Oh my gosh.
bigger and trying to shred. Like he was trying to go hit the lip and stuff. And it was so awkward and ugly. Knock it off. Like I'm sure there's a line he could have drawn on that wave, but to me, you don't deserve the best waves. If you make them look ugly, if you're making waves look ugly, at least have a little bit of self-reflection. It's thinking, I suck. I might be having fun, but I look bad.
The reason why that can't happen is there'd be a scenario where somebody films that guy with a, let's say, stink bug stance.
Yeah.
Uploads it. He's on Kook of the Day.
Yeah.
And now he's getting made fun of. He would then take that as an assault, like how dare these people, like we need to cancel who shot that footage. How dare that? And it's like, no, they're uploading the footage because it's to correct you.
You look like
this
you
is
suck.
for your own good.
Yeah, look
the
at it.
fact that you're victimized by this is the problem.
Take a hard look
And
in the
so I
mirror.
think that's what kind of the essence of CJ's argument is like there's no nobility in it. When we used to value nobility, it was because we understood that if we just had a little bit of correction and a little bit of less hubris, let's say, then we can become self-reflective and a better version of ourselves.
I mean, that's
because our community is telling us what.
I think that's what like it's the lack of self-reflection, which again bleeds out into Chappelle getting in trouble again for his Saturday Night Live
Did he?
monologue. Oh yeah,
I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, the stinking whatever ADL, Anti-Defamation League was like you're normalizing this kind of rhetoric or whatever. But to me, and not to get into that, but it just feels like society in general is both unable to take a joke, is unable to take any kind of criticism, is unable to reflect upon self, which is
Right.
those three items in an old school lineup are great. Reflect upon yourself, be able to take a lick or somebody's criticism of you, figure out where you actually belong, not where you think you belong. Right?
Exactly.
That's it's this height of Americana of me, mine. I'm going to get it because I want it. That's what the guy said, Kook guy at Del Mar, as he was paddling back out, at the end of his bark was, I don't care if you get anyways. I'm going to get them all, right?
Right.
All fine and good. If you ripped, that's great. You fucking suck. And everyone in the lineup should have dropped in on him at that moment because he sucked. He didn't. You don't deserve these waves. Have a moment of self-reflection about you sucking.
So society is exactly what you said. And surfing was the one sanctuary that actually had a little bit of a hunter and gatherer mentality and respect for those types of things and those rules that existed. And the fact that there's surfers like that now who come into that sanctuary and bring all of society's horrible, rules with them and apply them there, that's the problem. It's like this was the one place where you could have actually enjoyed it and had some nobility and structure.
And been objective instead of being purely subjective.
Exactly.
You could look at the way you're surfing and say, yes, I might feel good doing this, but I actually do suck. Maybe I should go down the beach a little bit and try to iron out some of my kinks, right? Like instead of, nope, I'm here. This is my time. That's mine.
Yeah. Well, there was one comment on here that said, surfing was the sport of kings. Now it's the sport of clowns. And I think that was pretty salient. And this is why we point a lot of fun at the WSL and Eric Logan double deucing in a pocket ride, I mean, double D, double E, double E, ELO, double D, ELO.
I got a, continue.
So it's like the nobility of Dukanimoku, the sport of kings, right? And then bring that to Phil Edwards, finding trim, all the way up to Rob Machado, like so many great surfers in the lineage who respected those kind of core tenets of riding a wave. No matter what type of craft they were on, there was kind of core tenets that existed, which was respect for restraint, That has gone so far out the window. And not only along with the fundamentals of riding the wave itself, but the social kind of construct that exists with doing all those things, that was all in place to prop up finding trim and doing a proper bottom turn and all of that. And so the double deuces in a pocket ride in a wave pool is the antithesis of it, you know?
Real embarrassing.
Totally.
But
the
yeah.
sport of clowns, which is like, how could you ever put a price on giving up that sport of kings thing to what it's become now?
But I mean, but that's the thing though, is this is what I feel where the rubber meets the road is, what is CJ doing in the lineup, right? Is he just burning mad? Is he going to get his waves? Is he
was
dropping it on coups?
So that was a big part of the conversation was, he spent 15 or 20 years barking at people, cussing people out, getting in fights all the time, all that sort of stuff. But he got sober for the last decade, and he's on a totally different path now. And part of that is making amends and all that sort of stuff. But no, he's not doing that anymore.
I mean, that's the thing, is you look like a kind of fool. I mean, exactly like, which I totally love, the Malibu rock thrower, right? Like all this, but it's tough. I mean, like-minded surfers, that's the problem though. You're not supposed to chat in the lineup, but like-minded surfers who are self-aware and objective should recognize each other in the lineup and just kind of lock it down a bit.
Yeah. Well, there was a great article. A lot of people messaged me about it. It was on Stab Premium. Came in from a listener or just a user. And I think Sam might have wrote the intro, and he was like, we get tons of emails all the time, submissions from fans or whatever. None of them ever make the cut.
Yeah.
This is the best thing I've read in a while. And so a bunch of people had been emailing me like, hey, you got to read this. And I finally read it. And the author went by the pseudonym Old Toenail.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't reveal the beach. It's pretty obvious where he lives and surfs. It's in Southern California. But he doesn't reveal what it actually is. And it's a story about it's famously localized zone. And he talks about living in it now and surfing in it now and he's in his 50s. So kind of coming up through when localism actually was in its full thing. And now where people are literally going to jail for years, you know, and it's like, and he gives a bunch of different examples. And there was a couple of lines in there that I thought were just so perfectly stated. Let me see if I did write them down at some point. The world is changing faster than a lot of the local surfers' abilities to adapt to it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like these old crotchety guys who it served a purpose to punch somebody in the face or to go through the list, like bark at them, tell them off, tell them to go in, punch fins out. Then if they continue to misbehave, then they get punched in the face. Then if it ends up on the beach, then they end up getting beaten up, you know, then they end up losing a tooth. Well, those guys who used to do that, the world changed on them really, really quickly. Yeah. To where now, not only you're not allowed to do that, but you end up in jail for 5 years if you do that, you know?
Assault.
Yeah, exactly. And so he gives a bunch of different examples of it, but it was such a good read because you understood how all these miscommunications happen so quickly. And he starts off by saying, you know, I think the opening line of the thing was something to do with, did you know Teslas record everything always? I didn't either until the cop showed up at my door. Oh. Then he goes in and tells the whole story, and he wraps up the story with, he was surfing a small day. This guy and his kid paddled out, burned him a bunch of times. And like he's found through kind of the whole message of the story, he found that fighting was not making him any happier or better or helping him get any more waves. So relinquishing all of that allowed him to just like, man, I can now just enjoy the water. I can enjoy the sun. I can enjoy surfing if I'm not getting in fights all the time. Well, now this guy is testing him in the lineup and burns him twice. Not only that, he gets out without fighting the guy, goes back to his car, his van, and the guy's Tesla is parked so close that he can't even open the gate, the back of his van, without scratching the guy's car or to put a surfboard in or even walk in between to put a surfboard in. So what does he do? He gets on the hood of the Tesla, opens his back gate, loads his car up, gets changed, all that kind of stuff, and then closes it and bails. Well, then the cops show up at his house because the Tesla recorded him standing on the hood, and the guy's livid because he stood on the hood of his car. But the local Old Toenail's like, dude, 5 or 10 years ago, I would have punched you out in the lineup.
Yeah.
I would have broke your windows.
Yeah.
I would have slashed your tires.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the point where I am sucking it up over and over and over and over again, and you still send the cops to my house.
I mean,
I went out of my way to not do anything to you. But again, embedded in all of this is a sport where you play by the rules, and this is a beach that I've been playing by the rules at for 40 years. You just showed up today. I've never seen you before, and you're demanding I play by different rules.
I mean, it's the organization, the cop calling, all of this stuff is a major, like the lack of self-reflection, and then you did something to me, I'm going to get you in trouble.
Right.
Come on. Just stop calling the cops, people.
Well, again, let's keep in mind, this was the one bastion, the one sanctuary that we had left where we didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And you in the Tesla showing up and bringing all of that with you, you are spoiling.
This is great to know that Teslas record everything. I'm glad that I know this now.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Oh, I might have gotten in big trouble.
I mean, I have a feeling it has to be motion censored. Like, it wouldn't just be recording.
Maybe, who knows? It's like a giant computer.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it is. Well, there's a number of stories about surfboard pricing this week in the news that I feel like we should touch on.
Definitely.
Controversial surfboard manufacturer Firewire announces a once-in-a-lifetime American sale, kicking domestic shapers square in the guts ahead of the holiday season.
Ouch.
This was your headline on Beach Grit. I mentioned that Surf Ads also wrote a story on Beach Grit talking about how $1,000 used to be rarefied air for a surfboard. I mean, maybe there was a McTavish or a Skip Fry or something. Now that's just regular standard pricing, right? We'll start with those two. I've got another story I could tell you afterwards. But what's the story here?
I mean, Firewire announced, so clearly the boom time for surfing the last, how many years ago? Through COVID? 3 years, 4 years?
2 years, let's say.
2 years, like everybody buying a surfboard. Worked well with COVID. Boom. Huge boom in participation. Slows down like things do. So Firewire, I'm assuming, kept production at too high a level and then realized, because you don't want to put your things on sale, right? It's like that's not a surf industry, or definitely not a surfboard strategy. And so too many boards, let's sell them. Let's put them on sale, 20 to 30%, boom. Problem, I think, is that Firewire manufactured in Thailand. There's a whole bunch of stuff they don't have to do, right? And people in the comments of the Beach Grit story were like, yeah, but they do. They have like state-of-the-art standards, and and I have no doubt that the Cobra factory where these are made, they really do a good job with whatever. But none of that it's one thing to do it kind of voluntarily, because then you can also, places you can cut a corner here or there, whatever. Domestic board builders are forced to have really high labor costs, ventilation.
Employee,
Yep. I mean, it's a real art, right? And so the difference, I suppose. So anyway, Firewire having advantages, which is all fine, capitalism, but having distinct advantages, and then to begin with, and then going on sale seems like an unnecessarily low. It seems really rude. Again, it's a kick square to the guts. It seems like it's rude to domestic manufacturers, and I will blame Kelly Slater for this specifically. He owns 70% of Firewire. Kelly came up right under. I feel the same way about Kelly leaving Quicksilver when they were down. Kelly Slater likes to benefit from things and then kick it in the guts once he's gone. Which it seems pretty rude that Firewire wouldn't at least have, okay, we're going to have to take one on the chin here because we overproduced, but we are not going to pass our mistake on to domestic builders.
Especially at a time where the board building industry is experiencing a recession. Yeah, It's experiencing a slump. So not only are we feeling the slump and maybe we expanded our business in the last 2 years. Now we have higher expenses. Now we're feeling a slump. It's really feeling like a pinch. Then the other boards are coming in and discounting to cut into our sales.
Especially right ahead of holidays. I'm sure that, maybe if you're a domestic board builder, you think, okay, it's tight, but let's hope there's some boards under Christmas trees this year. Yeah. And then from what I heard, surf shops are incentivized to sell those Firewires because they're not taking the 20 to 30% discount. Firewire is giving them basically a rebate.
Right.
So they're incentivized to push. Like it just seems unnecessarily rude.
Well, the other thing that has come up in a lot of the conversations with interviewing surfboard shapers over the years is that Firewire also makes the boards available on consignment.
Yeah.
So they say, how many racks do you have? There's a space for 100 boards. Normally the surf shop would have to pay for those boards within 30 days.
Yeah.
With individual surfboard
you pay us when they sell.
shapers. Yeah, instead Firewire comes, they're like, dude, we'll take 50 of those spots for you and you don't even have to pay the invoice until you sell it. And then once you sell it, then it's due in 30 days. So we'll fill your racks without you having to spend any money, essentially.
Ouch.
So surfboard shapers have been complaining about that for a long time, about that business practice. But I mean, honestly, this kind of relates to what we're talking about with this was our sanctuary and you are bringing these rules and spoiling the lineup. I think that's how board builders feel. And you and I were sent this sale story from board builders saying, man, this really sucks for us, you know?
But I've heard from multiple since then too, that it's like, it sucks for all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's my point is like the sanctuary analogy is board builders, domestic board builders, sure, they're competitors technically on the shelf, but they're all part of this kind of sanctuary and these rules that exist, this rites of passage that you have to go through, and they're operating under similar business practices with similar constraints, similar costs, all that sort of stuff.
Nobody's doing like Pyzel or Biolis or Merrick or whatever. Nobody's doing like a knockoff cheap version of a board to undercut everybody else's price, or nobody's doing doorbuster things, right? Like one time only, get this,
exactly,
whatever CI mid for $250 with, purchase of XYZ.
There's again, rites of passage and rules that we're all kind of agreeing to.
Yeah.
Because by the way, we all love this thing and we all want to continue to exist doing this thing.
And I think it's not cutthroat in that Pyzel doesn't want to see Biolis go out of business. Like he's not like,
turns out they're friends.
Yeah. I'm going to cut your throat and take all your market.
So I think that's how those domestic board builders feel about the Firewire business model. Like, yeah, okay, maybe some of us did offshore manufacturing for a certain segment for a while, and there's kind of benefits to that, but kind of doing the entire full-fledged thing, having Kelly co-sign it, and then not only bringing them back into the market, but then taking shelf space. We're kind of going to look the other way with that, but then doing sales during the hall. It really feels like...
So it's like one thing after another. And to call them all eco, right? To really lean into eco when these things are being flown or shipped in like the packaging and shipping costs alone for that thing, guarantee totally negates any bit of its eco-ness.
Yeah. It does feel like, as you stated, a square kick in the guts ahead of the holiday season.
I mean, that's the problem, I suppose. What do domestic board builders do? They can grumble about it. I mean, I suppose Beach Grit can be a cudgel. That's pretty good. Like, I mean, or the podcast. I think people shouldn't buy Firewire for this. Like, even if you like it, pause your Firewire purchase and go buy a domestic shaper.
I think that in a capitalist market, like, things work themselves out.
Yeah.
And so, listeners of this show, they have opinions on why they buy things and what they want to buy. And if getting the board at a 30% discount is meaningful to them and they like that board, then I guess they'll probably do it, and
but even I think making a listener or reader aware that this is what it is, right? Because then you can think about it. Then it's not just like, oh, this is sick. And this is, Kelly owns this company basically. And this is the board I like, and great, it's on sale now. And if you feel that after knowing stuff, I'm not judging anyone. I just would prefer, I don't like the way Firewire surf anyways, do you? I really dislike the way they surf.
Well, I don't love EPS as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, I just prefer poly anyways. So, so kind of on the other side of this conversation, I interviewed, there's a dude in New York, Rockaway, named Paul Schmidt. His Instagram is Paul Surf. Have you seen him?
I don't think so.
Okay. He's gone the opposite end, high end charges. His prices are 3: shortboard, mid-length, and longboard, and they're $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
Whoa, what's he doing?
Only customs.
What's he doing?
Making you a custom board. Doesn't matter. Like, sometimes it's a 30-hour build, and like he'll engineer. Like, it's
Are they good boards?
I've never ridden one. I mean, I've seen them. They're great looking boards. You know,
Yeah.
it looks like he totally is adequate and knows what he's doing and all that sort of stuff. And he has a fan base and he sells them and all that sort of stuff. But he comes from an art background
Yep.
and a design background, and he's in New York. And so I think again, the market will decide. You know, if he's able to sell as many as he needs to sell, then great. He should absolutely do
Sure.
it. But it's interesting to see somebody experimenting at that end of the spectrum.
Yes.
And I'm sure interestingly, the board building industry is reticent to raising their prices
Yeah.
more than the consumer is reticent to pay the pricing,
Yeah.
I think. And we've seen, like, we're in Album surfboards right now. Album's done a good job of pushing the price up, but it's still, you know, it's not double what another surfboard is. It's 40% more maybe than another surfboard.
What is the average retail price of a shortboard?
Like a pointy thruster, I would say $700 is,
Okay.
is the average price.
Yeah.
So, you know, and maybe an album, you can get an album for $750, $800, or you can
Yeah.
get a really fancy one with all the color work for $1,000,
Yeah.
let's say. So Paul selling them for $5,000
Yeah.
because it's bespoke and it's handmade and all that sort of stuff. So the question then is, like, I mean, Album is making phenomenal surfboards at $1,000. So you don't, the question isn't, is it 5 times better?
No.
It's just,
What you're willing to pay or,
and what's
or why
the
you want
experience
it.
that
Yeah.
you want? What's the story behind it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I'm into wine,
Yeah.
and it's like, I know the $100 wine isn't 10 times better than the $10. You know, the $100 Napa Cab is not 10 times better than the $10 Argentine Malbec.
Yeah.
Those are similar styles of wine. You kind of pair them with the same thing.
Yeah.
There's phenomenal $10 Malbecs out there but I still spend $100 every
you
once
like
in a while on the Napa Cab because there's pedigree and there's a story and there's all these other things that go with it. And money isn't the end all
Yes.
important thing. You know what I mean? So I just want a different experience. So I can justify it with certain things. There's other things I totally can't justify. But I feel like guys like Paul, Donald Brink, you know, whoever it is, they're making boards by themselves. So from start to finish by one set of hands. And they go, hey, I'm only able to make 100 boards a year. So I can have time to spend with my family and I can still go surfing. So 100 boards is all I can do with these 2 hands.
What's the price point
What do
for
I need?
me to live?
Yeah. What do I
Yeah.
need to live on? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And if it is $5,000 because rent's expensive in New York or whatever it is, like that is what it is. And so will you sell 100 boards that year? And if you can, great.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean,
that's fine.
I think you hit the nail on the head with money isn't the end all and be all of everything, which is why Firewire is being lame, right? Because they're making a money thing. I think, you know, like they're making a price calculation, which I suppose everybody is at some level.
But they got into it as a business.
Yeah.
The business is what it is.
And making money.
And the business needs to make money. And
Yeah.
there's investors, and those investors need to see a return on that investment.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different thing.
Yep.
You know?
I suppose, yeah, like it's up to each surfer to choose. I suppose that's what I will use my platform for, is educating surfers on, hey, if you're in the market for a board, just FYI, this is what Firewire is. Not the is a little bit shifty. If that matters to you, if it doesn't matter to you, have it.
Not even shifty.
I mean, a little bit.
It's pretty transparent.
But except I think, though, don't they import their boards as pool toys so they don't have to pay import tag? Like there's things, I
Yes.
mean, they're getting through every loophole they can, right? Which is fine.
Good
If that-
business.
If that's, sure, great business. But what's the difference between shifty and good business, right? It's,
Great question.
yeah. Like, so to me, that's shifty, right? They're not going off what they should do. They're going off what they can do.
Yeah. Well, what's should if you're in business?
I mean, I just think you shouldn't discount your boards when you already have distinct advantages in a down market, knowing that your fellow board makers are going to suffer because of this.
But clearly, they've all but stated
They don't care.
they don't care. They're in business
Yeah,
to make money.
but I
And
don't-
So it doesn't matter what the competitor's doing or what they aren't doing.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like
Right,
I
but
like
it's
my
not
cottage
shifty.
industry.
I do too. Trust
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Firewire. Yeah. Don't like it.
what else was I going to tell you? Oh, I mean, it probably doesn't even matter. I was just thinking about wine, the wine analogy.
Yeah.
Lauren's stepmom almost exclusively drinks Rombauer Chardonnay.
Ron Bauer.
Rombauer, ROM.
Okay.
It's a Napa Valley Chardonnay.
Okay.
Cougar juice is
Yeah.
what, you know.
Ron Bauer.
Yeah. It's like an elevated Kendall Jackson.
Yep.
Same style, but
Is it
elevated.
like
Like buttery, oaky Chardonnay.
Stella Rossi.
I don't know.
Have you ever had a Stella Rossi?
No.
There's the billboards everywhere.
Oh,
in LA.
yeah. I've seen the billboards. I've
Yeah.
never had it.
Yeah.
It's like sweet.
I think it's
rosé,
just like
right?
dessert stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rombauer Chardonnay. It's,
Exclusively. That's all she drinks.
yeah. And it's buttery, oaky California Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And so it's so stylized that, and it's available in every grocery store across America, almost all the restaurants, all that sort of stuff. So it's regardless of year or vintage or weather in that given year, it tastes the same every single time.
Yeah.
You know, it just is, it's the Coca-Cola
Yeah.
of the wine world. And, but she's really into wine,
Yeah.
you know, and she likes this thing and it's not cheap. It's like $38 or something, you know? But I'm like, so I've like, for the first year, I made it my mission to like really,
Get her off something else.
or just try, let's
Yeah.
expand the horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's good to know what you like.
Yeah.
That's half the battle, but let's also try these other things because, there's more character and there's more flavor and it's more
just
dimension
different.
and it's different and more texture and blah, blah, blah. So I bring in Kistler Chardonnay,
Yeah.
you know, which is like $100 Napa Valley
Yeah.
or Sonoma Chardonnay, and it's phenomenal. And they would just snub their nose at it,
Just like, ooh.
and I wouldn't tell them what the price is. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
tell them the provenance, any of that. I would just like pour a glass, like, hey, we brought this, you should try this. Just like no interest. And then I'd bring a phenomenal 30, like this will be less than, they could save money if they drink this, but it's better than. And then just not even interested.
Did you wander over to France or anything, or did you just stick in? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've tried it all.
And nothing.
Not even interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they know what they like. It is what it is. And they're just going to stick to it. And I've learned that perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. Enjoy it. We'll drink this other stuff over here because we have an interest in. We're doing it for totally different reasons, I
Yes.
guess is what it comes down to.
They-
It's part of an intellectual experience for us. We're trying to pair it appropriately, all that.
The thing is, though, what if you, like, for people who are stuck in a thing, what if there's something out there that you like better? You just don't have no idea. You don't know that it exists.
Inevitably, there is.
Of course there
For
is. I
sure.
mean, that's the whole point of going and trying new things, right?
Right.
Is experiencing different things, and especially with food and whatnot.
Yeah.
Who knows what you don't like, or who knows what you do like?
But they don't put,
They don't
maybe
care.
they don't put a high value on food.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's, I forget who it was. Maybe it was like Steve Jobs or something. Like the reason why I wore that black turtleneck was one less thing to worry about every day. If
Yeah.
I just have a uniform,
I don't have to think about
I can
dressing.
devote my brain power towards all these other things. I'm not devoting any of my brain power towards deciding what to wear. And so while I choose that to be a stickler about, or to invest my kind of interest in, and same with surfboards.
Yeah.
Like I want to ride a board from somebody who made it by their hand, somebody who I know, first of all,
Yeah.
who made it by their hands, who has a philosophy, who has a whole backstory and like is making it for me because
Yeah.
they know me. That's what I want. But
Yeah.
other people don't want that.
No,
You
I
know?
don't care. Yeah.
So
Get your pop outs.
yeah. All right. Well,
Firework.com.
covered it.
Slater Designs.
Yep. Well, let's go to commercial break and then come back with Barrel or Nah. Sound
Let's
good?
do it.
All right, Chaz. Guess what? We do have Bubbacoos, but new website to direct people to.
Where?
Not just bubbacoos.com/surf, what they can still use,
Please go there.
but going into the holidays, bubscatering.com.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What's there? Okay, bubscatering.com. Is it a /surf or no?
Nope, just bubscatering.com.
Now tell me this. What is Bubs Catering radius? We live in Southern California here. Do you know how far, or do you go into Bubs Catering and put in your zip code and then they'll tell you?
Great question. I don't know the radius
Okay.
of deliverability, but we have been talking about Bubbacoos for, I don't know, a fair bit now,
Yeah.
maybe 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
And presumably, like I said, when I went to see the locations 8 or 9 months ago, there was fewer than there are now. So I have a feeling we've been telling people get rich off burritos. Some of our listeners are probably trying to get rich off burritos now, opening franchises. We want to make sure that they get rich off catering too.
I mean, imagine what a perfect thing for the holidays.
That's the thing. Holidays.
Everybody's got one or two maybe good holiday meals in them in terms of making, right? I'm going to say one.
Yeah.
Like really going all in on either Christmas or Thanksgiving. you got no more time than that, right? Anybody who's able to put multiple nice holiday meals together, doing something wrong with your life. Barbecues.
Exactly. Well, so reserve Thanksgiving for a Thanksgiving meal, reserve for Christmas for a Christmas meal. But throughout this next month or two, you're going to have other get-togethers where the family's all together. Maybe it's a last-minute thing, and you can't whip together that giant meal. So that's where you rely on catering, because the only thing better than eating is not cooking what you had to eat.
That's true. And also, I will say from experience, if I showed up at a house that had a barbecue spread, I would be over the moon.
Totally.
I would be straight overjoyed.
Greatest house ever.
I mean, I would not leave that house.
Well, they're running a promo throughout January even, so offering 10% off catering.
You get 10% off catering?
Winter 10 is the code.
Use it, people.
Winter and the number 10. Use it at bubscatering.com.
Nothing's better.
I know. Go get it. And then, of course, athleticgreens.com/surf. We neglected to really hit it hard last week, but it is worth hitting hard because it provides everything you need.
Guess what happened in my house during the past 3 weeks, David Lee Scales?
You ran out?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Everybody's sick. Like
Oh,
the
no.
disease took hold. I don't know when it started. It's been going and going and going and going. Guess who's not sick?
The one person fortified,
Athleticgreens.com/surf.
the
Every
one
morning.
person who built foundational nutrition for better health.
Every morning I wake up and hear that coughing. I listen while I'm shaking it in.
Yep.
Boom. Drink it. Don't even think about it.
Yep.
The other day, sister's wife, staying with us. How have you not gotten sick? Athleticgreens.com/surf.
Boom.
Get your own.
Well, 60-day money-back guarantee. You can't go wrong.
No.
Go to athleticgreens.com/surf. Fill the nutritional gaps. Promote gut health. Whole body vitality with AG1. The promote gut health thing, that's another thing. I'm 40 years old, 41 years old. All the people around me, I notice having problems with their stomach. Like, they're sensitive to things now.
Yeah.
They can't leave the house. They got to start or wake up or like whatever it is. And I'm like, I'm strong like bull.
Yep.
You know why? Gut health.
Athleticgreens.com/surf.
Boom. Do it.
So dumb. I mean, it's frankly, it's idiotic not to.
I know. And anybody who's been on board can attest, because we've not gotten one bit of negative feedback about
I
Athletic
still
Greens.
defy people.
I know.
I dare you to call in and
I
tell
do
me
too.
you're sickly because of it.
All right. Athleticgreens.com/surf. All right, Chaz, we're back for Barrel or Nah.
Great. Exciting.
I've got 2 from listeners, and then I've got 1 of my own. But before I do, a buddy emailed and he was like, my wife's been listening to the show a bit over my shoulder when I have it on, and she realized something. She said, so basically everything is barrel if you surf good.
I mean, that's true.
And he's like, yep.
That's true.
That's that sums it all up. Yes.
It's really true.
Totally true.
I mean, that was
White wetsuits,
anything.
button down shirt in the lineup,
Being a jerk in the lineup, being nice in the lineup,
front traction,
anything.
GoPro facing at you.
Doesn't matter.
If you're Nathan Florence, it's fine.
Take it.
Yeah,
Rip. Mason Ho, you can do whatever you want.
exactly.
Yep.
Which is interesting, right?
It's
And-
true.
Well,
I think we're consistent.
it's just a truism in life. It has nothing to do with us. But yes, we are, but it is a truism. And I was thinking about it beyond surfing, is there's a couple of things in life that if you can dance,
Yeah.
literally, Michael Jackson is an alleged pedophile, but he could dance.
And he's still on the fence of
I
people
know.
being mad. He
I
is
know.
like, he had,
Tons of people are like, I
Children-
don't believe it.
yeah, children sleeping
Ignore
in
the
his bed.
child. Ignore the child.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy dance?
Yeah. His moonwalk. That's a great point. Michael Jackson specifically too, because he danced really good.
Chris Brown
Yeah.
punched Rihanna, his
Yep.
girlfriend at the time, in the face.
Driving to an awards show or something.
This wasn't allegedly.
No.
This is fact.
Yeah.
And has other domestic abuse in his record as well.
He can dance.
That kid, if you bring up Chris Brown, me mentioning the Rihanna punch right now is news to a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're like, what? He
Yeah.
punched? Whereas
But like they'll absorb that news quickly. They'll say, "Oh, that sucks," but man, he can dance.
exactly.
Yeah.
From now on, when they think of Chris Brown, they don't think of the punch. They think about, God, that kid can dance.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's certain things
That if you rip, it's all evil.
you
Yeah.
could get away with anything.
It is really true.
Surfing is one of those things.
It's amazing.
Chris Ward.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look at Chris Davidson. Speaking of, you read
Yeah.
that on Beach Grit?
Yes.
He's a straight up, was a kitty fiddler. I mean, got busted.
Well, what is the actual story? There was
That.
Kitty.
I mean, 15,
How old was he?
or 40, or however old he is
really?
now. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. A full on nasty man. I was really happy,
I
Derek.
didn't read the article. I mean,
I was really happy
I
Derek
didn't
wrote
want
that
to read
story.
the article, I guess is what it came
Of
down
course,
to.
but I
I
was-
was like, was he 18? The girl was 17?
No,
Like,
no.
is this a
It was like
technicality?
40 whatever and 15.
no.
But the part, I really was happy that Derek wrote that story because I'm all about,
Celebrating if
celebrating. But that one
also-
right there,
but
like,
also call it out.
and be honest, like, come on, we're not going to forget, like,
Oh man,
yeah, dirty Chris Davidson.
there's nothing worse, dude.
Nope, nothing worse.
Jesus.
Yep.
Well, he couldn't dance.
Yeah, couldn't dance.
Report apparently.
Didn't surf well enough either.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I think I really want to invest in the next phase of my life,
Yep. Dancing.
and shredding.
Yeah.
So then I could just kind of
Do
get away
anything.
with mediocre behavior. I'm not going to do anything bad, but I probably will have some shortcomings. I just
Yeah.
want people to overlook them.
Yeah. But now you can.
Yep.
Everybody will just, you ripping, you're dancing.
Barrel.
Done.
All right. Barrel or Not number 1. To my favorite podcast place. I listen to a lot of your shows and I support by being a paying member. So Barrel or Not. I see guys that drive around with their wetsuits hanging on their rear view mirrors. I think he meant side view mirrors. Seems like they're kooks. They want people to know that they're surfers, thinking that makes them cool. I'm 55. I grew up surfing in Southern California. My friends and I have always practiced modesty when it came to being surfers, because if you really are cool, you don't need to let people know that you're cool. Can you let me know if I'm just being old and grumpy and that it shouldn't bug me? Thanks for the great entertainment.
We've done this one before. You can go find
we
it.
really?
We sure did.
Look at you, dude.
I gave it barrel at the time and I give it barrel again.
Oh, really?
I think it is both functional, actually, like having a nice air dried. You gave it no barrel, if I recall, last time around. I believe the argument I made that it's both functional and I like flying the surf flag just a little bit every now and again, right? I mean, if I saw, for example, to his point, if I saw a brand new Patagonia wetsuit over the side mirror of a Tesla, I would think that's lame because that person is lame, right? But when I see one over a van, not a Sprinter van either, but like, so depending on your car, I suppose, I'll caveat this barrel, but if you have like a normal everyday person's car, a surf car, and you have your wetsuit over, good on you. Getting it air dried, perfect.
Does distance matter?
Distance from the beach.
Yeah, like if you're
Yes.
driving home and you live in the same
Oh.
neighborhood and it's less than a mile, I can almost give that a pass.
Yeah,
If you're
for
getting
sure.
on a freeway.
No, but have you ever seen one on a freeway?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I've only seen them very near the beach. And again, I'm going to suggest this listener, thank you for your donation. So I'm going to give you extra advice. Give it a try. I've never done it myself either, but let's all give it a try and see how it feels.
I understand like those old Dodge vans that have
Sure.
a mirror that's like
Big.
a big U,
Yeah.
basically. Like the top locks into the car and then it comes out and the mirror's on the sidebar, the vertical bar, and then it comes back in. That's like that's basically a hanger.
It is a hanger.
Yeah.
Taking care of business while you're driving.
So that makes sense. And I've seen it in the parking lot like that, but driving it home, I feel like
Rarely do I see the drive home. I mean,
I rarely see it.
I
And-
do
and
see it, but usually I see it parked.
further, if you're not driving on the freeway and you do live close to the beach, the distance that you're going isn't enough to actually dry it all out anyways. So it's a negligible amount of drying that you're going to get from doing this thing. It's mostly performative.
Except, don't you think you're going to leave it on there at home until it completely dries?
Okay, maybe. If in that one case, then I'm giving that's fine.
That's what I'm saying, though. I think it is a lot more functional than it is performative.
Okay.
I'm going to give it the benefit of the functional doubt.
See, I think we jumped the shark. I think it started out being functional, and those
And then it becomes
5%ers
Yeah.
did that, and 95% are doing it performatively.
But I'm also going to say it really depends on the make and model of your car. and
Agreed.
year.
I agree with that
Yeah.
completely. I'll tell you what I do. Throw it in a plastic bin in the back of my car, take it home, hang it up, dries every time there.
Tell you
No
what I
problem.
do. Guess
No
what I
problem
do?
at all.
I stay in it till I get home. Peel it down, stay in it.
If you live that close to the beach, that
That's
must be.
everybody should move
Speaking
a
of
little
pampering-
closer.
Speaking of being luxury conversation from earlier, All right, this one relates. You should have expertise on. Comes from a listener. Barrel or Not audiobooks.
Ooh,
I've never really been a book person. I read a few when I was younger, but it really wasn't my thing. Regardless, I do know that there are great stories being told, adventures described, lessons being taught, and I'm probably missing out. A few years back, I started getting into podcasts, which is my main source of information these days. And then I thought maybe I should give into audiobooks and see how that goes. I understand the romantic thing about owning, carrying, reading, keeping, and even lending a good book. But that's just not me. This summer, I finally gave it a go and obviously had to start with Blessed Are the Bank Robbers by our one and only Chaz Smith, and found myself often thinking, how would anyone else actually read this book instead of having it read to me in the great voice of the author? And I think that might even stand for any book out there. So Barrel or Not audiobooks.
I'm a big barrel on audiobooks, to be honest. I don't listen very often, but I've listened to a couple good ones on long trips. And podcasts are good for road trips, but podcasts can send you skitsy after a while. Like having so much like 1 hour or 2 hour bits, where getting into a good audiobook on a long drive is pure joy. Like, what did I listen to? It's one about stinking Nazi Germany or something. It was like a huge one about whatever, American diplomat in 1942 Berlin or something. But it was so like every time I stopped for gas, hurry up and get gas and hurry up and get back in the car because I wanted to pick up on where it left off. And I know also for people who have, I think, sort of menial jobs, or not menial jobs, that's super rude. I did not mean that. I meant jobs where you are sitting still and can listen to something. I think the settling your mind, that's what audiobooks do well. Like you're on a longer arc of a story where I think it gives your mind's not jumping around, which I think that's valuable. I'm barrel on audiobooks.
There's a stimulation, like a brain stimulus type thing that I think goes on with that.
Yep.
And I think that reading is good for certain times and you have the time to actually sit and do that. But if you're in the car, you don't have the option to pick up a book. So it just serves a different purpose in your day.
But also a major part of childhood development is reading to kids, right? Yeah. And it's not just because they can't read yet. It's reading to all age kids, right? Where I think being read to lets your mind go and imagine what it's like a different thing. I think that is mentally healthy.
Approved.
Barrel.
I'm giving it a barrel too. Barrel or Not number 3 comes from my own world this past week. I've had this happen twice in the last week since I've seen you. Doing your kids fundraising for them. So we get text message from somebody like, hey, turkey trot, can you pay, sign up for a certain dollar amount for the number of laps that my kid does. And I'm like, I have 2 thoughts before you even commit to this. Number 1, your kid, the whole purpose of this is for your kid to do the legwork, right? And then number 2, if you're not going to make your kid do the legwork, just pay it for them. I mean, I don't want to ask my kid's not old enough to get there yet, but in the end, Austin is going to need to fundraise for something. Let's say the goal is $100. I will pay that $100 myself so that I never have to ask my friends for $20. Or it's incumbent upon him to go and earn that $100 because there is something virtuous in that.
You're exactly correct. If you are not going to have your kid do the fundraiser, which all fine and good, right? It can be awkward, like knocking on doors. There's a bunch of reasons not to have the kid do the fundraiser. Yeah. But if you're into it and the kid's into it and you want to teach the life lesson of, there is valuable of like knocking on a door and sort of being embarrassed and looking an adult in the eye and asking, being well-spoken. Like there is benefit if you have time and energy to do that. If not, you pay it. Like there's no second option. There's no and screw the person who sent that damning text to you, David Lee Scales. That is not a good look. Like you don't fundraise for your kid.
Twice this week, 2 different people.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Did you?
It's turkey trot season, I think, is the problem.
Did you fire back with invectives?
No.
Did you say, please lose my number?
No. And actually, to be perfectly
you gave money.
Honest, those texts went to Lauren and not me.
Okay.
Probably because they knew better.
Yeah. It's funny though.
Lauren paid it.
In a couple, the better thing, like I was driving up the other day and a friend of my wife's and I called she's friend of wife, but no, I'm her friend too, but friend of wife. I didn't bring this woman into the relationship. Called me up, driving, not a text either, a call. Hey, I got to leave right now, and our dog sitter fell through. And I was leaving, but for the day, I was going to be back later. Can I bring dog over for 3 days? And I said, yeah, sure. Drop it off. Dog's a crap. Like, ate everything in the house. Was a real garbage hole. Wife would have never agreed to taking this dog. Friend knew. I call who I normal call.
Right.
Guaranteed getting shut down. I'm going to call me because it's a guarantee he'll not consider it and just say yes.
That is so funny.
But I reckon that happens for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in their relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think made it pretty clear to most people in my life. I don't like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Not even great about texting.
Yeah.
So kind of leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so and people do leave me alone. And I think really what it has to do with the fact that I'm talking 6 hours a week on air. I don't have a lot more energy after that.
I mean, I feel the same typing emails. Like I should do a lot better job of responding, but I feel I'm sitting writing all day, every day. And to write extra stuff, to like write on my free time, on my non-writing time, is just, but then it feels, letting the people down.
I think those people though know.
I hope.
They don't get offended.
I hope.
Kevin Miller.
Yeah, Kevin, love you.
Or whoever it is.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of people that you and I are on the same group
Text
with.
chain. Yeah.
But Ben Weiland, Mark McGinnis won Best Film last week for Island X.
Congratulations.
You and I talked about it on the air.
I voted.
And it was being screened at the Florida Surf Film Festival.
It won Best Film?
It won Best Surf Film.
Nice.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy.
So shout out to those guys.
Congratulations,
And if we don't
Mark.
reply to your text when you text us to say thanks for talking about it on air, it's because we're not great at texting.
And also,
still love you.
just because we love you, don't even have to thank. It's just love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No thanks needed. All right, Chaz, we covered a lot of ground here at Album Surfboards this week. Well done.
So much.
Yep.
Did people get mad at yesterday's Superpod or last week's Superpod? Anybody get angry at the length?
Not at
we
all.
Put them through?
Actually, I saw the opposite. I saw praise heaped upon.
Wow.
I think because we're in person.
Sweet. We should do that. Remember that one time we did like a 4-hour pod? It was like early days.
Weren't we?
It was 3 hours.
Well,
maybe.
was it because we were watching Stab High, the Waco edition?
Yeah, but I think we'd purposed to do a really, I think I was doubting that people wanted long.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Early days.
Because you had not been listening to podcasts?
No. And you're like, no, people want long. And I said, well, let me test this theory. Yeah. We should do another Superpod.
Yeah, we could figure that out.
We should clear the schedules one day and just go for like 6 hours.
I'm done. I mean, I'm in. It's done.
Yeah.
We could do it. The thing is, not that Album Surfboards isn't beautiful, but we need event, like if we're in Florida for the Surf Film Festival and we have cocktails and like that, or we go on the sailboat, maybe we do it on the sailboat.
Let's do it.
Something like that.
Let's do a sail pod.
All right, cool. Thanks, Album Surfboards. Thanks, athleticgreens.com/surf. Thanks, bubscatering.com. Promo code winter10. Thanks, linkedin.com/surf.
Thank you so much, LinkedIn.
Yeah,
you know what
huge.
the fired Billabong and Quicksilver employees can do?
Should have worked that in.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Go to linkedin.com/surf, find a new job, post a job, all that sort of stuff. All right. Until next week.
Bon voyage.